Yes, that is possible. But ano muna yung definition ng ulam para sa inyo? If yung definition nyo ng ulam is yung kasabay ng kanin lang, like say for example, noodles, hindi po healthy yan. Kung gusto nyo naman, like say for example, pansit, o di kaya meron ding sotanghon, o di kaya even spaghetti. Alam ko sa mga Pinoy, yung iba, yung spaghetti, ginagawang ulam. So, no, hindi po yan healthy because actually, yan ay nakakatakot. That is carbs on top of carbs. Anong ibig sabihin yan? Carbohydrate yung kanin, tapos lalagyan mo pa ng pansit, ng sotanghon, ng bihon, ng noodles, ng spaghetti, at kung ano-ano pang puro carbs. Ito actually ay magdaragdag lamang ng insult, ng injury sa katawan ninyo. Bakit? Bakit mo namang nasabi na delikado ito sa atin yung pagkain ng carbs on carbs? Dahil yung pagkain na ganyan, it's actually compounding amount of glucose. Ikakatataas yan ng blood sugar mo. Ay, wala namang asukal, Dok, yung kanin. Wala rin naman asukal yung aming ginawang sotanghon, yung aming pansit, yung bihon. Wala naman yung asukal. Bakit tataas yung blood sugar ko? Dahil po, yung blood sugar or technically known as blood glucose, hindi lang ito galing sa matatamis. Yung glucose ay nanggagaling sa carbohydrates. Major carbohydrates na kinakain ng Pinoy is kanin, saging, tinapay, noodles, mga pasta, and of course, yung mga desserts, sweets, soft drinks, and marami pang ibang matatamis. But hindi lang sila, again, nanggagaling sa mga matatamis. Nandun din sila sa starch. Ano yung starch? Ito yung complex carbohydrates. Ito ay made up of chains para silang isang kadena or para silang branching trees made up of individual glucose. Kung ilalagay natin yan sa pera, yung starch is yung papel na pera, whereas yung glucose is yung coins, yung barya. But eventually, pareho pa rin silang pera. And that is the same way in our body. Kahit pa buong pera yung kakainin natin, full starch, the moment na papasok sila sa ating baba pa nga lang, meron na diyang mga lingual enzymes, yung mga salivary enzymes, yung mga enzymes na nasa baba natin and also in our stomach. Meron din tayong mga enzymes dyan na the moment it is already broken down, ay eto ay magiging glucose pa din. So, ang equivalent ng isang cup ng rice ay actually nasa 10 kutsaritang glucose na yan. And that's why, kapag kumain kayo ng kanin, kasama yung other carbs, that's already double. Baka hindi ka nga nag-soft drinks, hindi ka nga nag-asukal sa iyong kinakain, hindi ka nga nagtimpla ng juice, hindi ka na nga nag-dessert, pero rice at saka bihon at saka sotanghon naman yung pinagkakakain nyo. In that amount alone, baka umabot ka na ng 20 to 30 teaspoons of white sugar equivalent in net carbs. Net carbohydrate yung tawag natin dyan. And so, that is why I eliminated those. And yung kinain ko na lang are foods that are, I know, low in carbohydrate. Hindi nakakapagpataas ng blood sugar. So I will show you my main meal for the day. So eto, this is pork. So kung titingnan nyo, halos durug-durug na siya because niluto ito ng mga nasa 2 oras ng pagpapakulo lang. The moment na mawala na yung kaniyang tubig, nilalagyan na naman ng additional water. So, kaya na siya durug-durog. At ito yung gusto kong pagkaluto ng pork kasi lumalabas lahat. Pati yung kanyang mantika, so nawawala na yung kanyang taba, konting-konting taba na lang and nasa oil na siya. Not because takot ako sa taba, but mas lumalambot at mas lumalabas yung totoong flavor ng pork, which is gusto ko. Don't worry for those non-pork eaters na mga against sa kanilang religion or di lang talaga nila lang type yung pork. Any food is okay naman. Pwedeng beef. Kung bawal din sa religion niya yung beef, meron pa namang ibang karne. Pwedeng lamb, pwedeng kambing, pwede ring isda, pwedeng seafood, pwedeng chicken. So this pork is nilagyan ko lang ng asin and then vinegar. Yun lang. So, I don't consider eating pork as dirty eating. Kasi so yung iba, kapag sinabing pork yung kinakain, it's already dirty low carb, dirty keto. No. What makes a food more like dirty is yung mga pagpa-process nito o paglalagay ng mga chemicals, paglalagay ng mga artificial flavorings. But salt, pepper alone, yung mga natural herbs, that's not dirty at all. So, eto yung aking main meal. Hindi ko to mauubos. Don't worry. Baka matakot kayo. And my other meal is this one. So, eto ay chicken. Pinakuluan lang din ng chicken. Wala lang siyang vinegar. Yung difference nila ng pork, wala siyang vinegar. So, water lang siya. And these are chicken lollipop. And nilagyan ng this one is egg. So, ito yung tinatawag nating mother and child. So, it's the chicken and the egg. I know medyo morbid siya pakinggan, but this is not about being emotional when it comes to food, but this is just about nutrition. So, eto, kasi hindi ito ganun kaalat, so eto yung parang neutralizer ko. Kasi sanay tayo before na kumakain ng kanin. So, even if hindi na ako kumakain ng kanin ngayon, I usually have two meals or a meal na merong parang ulam. Ito yung mas flavory, ito yung mas malasa. And I usually pair it up with something na medyo mas neutral yung lasa so that they blend together. But it's also not a requirement. Minsan, pork lang talaga yung kinakain ko. Or yesterday, itlog lang talaga yung lahat ng kinain ko. And that is also okay. And bakit ako hindi takot na kumain ng puro ulam lamang? Because actually, walang study na nagsasabi na nakakatakot o nakakabara ng puso ang pagkain ng karne, ang pagkain ng red meat, ang pagkain ng itlog. Because kung meron kayong nakitang mga studies na nagsabi na ang pagkain nito ay masama, those studies are mostly made from subjects na kumakain ng red meat together with rice, red meat together with other processed foods, red meat together with mashed potato para sa ibang bansa, red meat together with tinapay, together with pasta. So, hindi siya applicable sa way of eating natin. This is because those food is on high insulin level. Ano yung high insulin level way of eating? So, eto yung pagkain ng taba, ng karne. So, that's high protein and that's high fats together with high carbohydrate. Because sa tatlong ito yung major component ng pagkain eh. Yung carbohydrates, siya talaga yung nakakapagpataas ng insulin. Ano bang mangyayari kapag mataas yung insulin? The moment your body is high in insulin, nasa anabolic mode ka. Nasa parang saving up mode ka. Gusto niya i-make sure na yung kakainin mo ay mareretain sa katawan mo at hindi niya ito igagastos sa paggawa ng energy or whatever. But iimbakin niya ito. And iimbakin niya in the form of fats. Kung sumusobra yung pagkain nyo ng proteins and fats at hindi kayo gumagalaw. But if you also have very active physical activity, partly you can form some muscles, but you will be forming muscles together with fats. Kaya maraming iba na malalaki nga yung katawan, alam nyo mataas yung muscles, pero alam nyo, merong layer na tabaan before ng muscles na yon. And also, they can see the changes that the moment they actually eliminated the carbs, mas numinipis yung taba nila sa katawan. It's being trimmed down, especially sa mga lalaki because female are quite more resistant to losing all the fats. Yung babae, mas madali sa atin mag-lose ng muscles. And that is why we should be careful sa ating diet, especially yung mga diet na puro gulay lamang, puro kanin lamang, hindi na kumakain ng karne, hindi na kumakain ng itlog, because you are bound to lose weight but more on the muscle weight. And then kung nag-lose man kayo ng fats, but in proportion, kahit pa medyo payat kayo tingnan, that fat component is still bigger as compared to your muscle component sa katawan. We should conserve our muscles. And one way to preserve muscles sa ating katawan is to really eat protein-rich foods. Ang maganda kasi sa pagkain ng proteins is it is very much flexible wherein yung pangangailangan ng proteins na ating katawan, mako-cover natin. And if nag-a-adjust pa lang tayo sa low carb, hindi pa tayo fully fueling on ketones, hindi pa natin natatap yung full machinery of using fats and ketones as energy, ay yung mga ibang parte ng katawan natin na medyo dependent pa sa asukal, sa glucose, that can be provided by the extra proteins that you are eating. Merong paraan wherein yung liver natin ay gagawa ng kanyang sariling glucose through the process of gluconeogenesis na natural sa ating katawan for us to form glucose coming from non-carbohydrate sources, at yun mismo ay yung machinery na dapat ma-activate natin from time to time. Usually, na-activate yan, but it's not enough, especially if you are 100% fueling on glucose. Pero if you will slowly adjust ang pangangatawan mo na masanay sa pagkaing walang glucose, slowly your body will start burning fats for energy. So that's why if you eat fats and proteins, yun yung hindi rin kayo tataba. Hindi kayo mangangayayat, hindi kayo magiging sobrang payat, but you will lose the extra fats that you are eating, because yun yun mismo gagamitin ng katawan natin for energy. Bakit? This is because when you eat the ulam lamang in the forms of fat and proteins, very minimal carbohydrates, then yung ating insulin bumababa. And the moment na wala na yung insulin, yung natural na state ng katawan natin is actually to burn fats, to use fats as energy. Yun yung natural. Kaya nga lang, kapag nandyan si insulin, binablock niya yung process na yon. But it is not as if na yung insulin is yung natural. No, insulin is just a blocker of fat burning process. In certain times of a human existence sa isang tao, konti lang yung point na nangangailangan tayo ng spike talaga ng insulin or mataas talaga ng insulin. We can even live na kahit hindi umaakyat o nagsaspike talaga yung insulin natin. Just a medial level of insulin coming from proteins, that is already enough. That is already enough even on special populations. Sino-sino yung special populations na makaka-benefit from some insulin response? The growing children, yung mga bata pang nagda-develop pa lang yung bones, muscles, and overall growth. The pregnant women na merong dinadalang baby na tumutubo din. And also the elderlies. So yung mga elderlies, mas kailangan din niyan because they will have this tendency to lose muscles. Yun yung concept na muscular atrophy. Pag-uusapan natin yan in another video. But they are also the ones na pwedeng-pwedeng makaka-benefit na kahit walang carbohydrates, kahit minimum lang yung carbohydrates, they can be okay. I personally know someone na pregnant and are doing well sa tatlong pagbubuntis niya. Yung healthiest state niya is yung naka-low carb siya. The first baby, high carb, maraming sakit, maraming iniisip na mga maintenance na gamot during that time, pampakapit. But on the second pregnancy na low carb na, and now the third pregnancy na low carb na, almost wala siyang dinaramdam. And she even kept the weight. Yung kung titingnan mo siya, para lang siyang hindi buntis, malaki lang yung tiyan niya. That is actually my sister-in-law, Mabi, and also our own sister. My own sister just gave birth 6 months ago or 5 months ago. Kaya lang malaki yung pamangkit ko tingnan, di ba? But 5 months pa lang yon. She was on full low carb nutrition. Yung kanyang source ng carbohydrate, very minimal lamang. She only ate this for bowel movement. Kakaunti lang, and it was unprocessed kind of carbohydrate. Isang maliit na kamote lamang. And that's the only major source niya ng carbohydrates, somewhat less than 50 grams in a day. And when it comes to low carb, kung ayaw nyo namang kumain ng puro ulam lamang, then you are free to add vegetables, green leafy vegetables, pero yung mga vegetables na hindi mataas sa starch. Ito yung tinatawag natin non-starchy vegetables. So yung mga dahon-dahon, pepino, zucchini, broccoli, asparagus, and mga talbos ng lahat ng kung ano-ano ang mga talbos. So alam niyo na yan, talbos ng kamote, talbos ng kangkong, talbos ng sili. So all of those mga talbos, you can eat that if you can accommodate that. But it is also not a requirement. If you don't believe me, meron akong isi-share sa inyong published article when it comes to eating puro ulam lamang. This is actually quite extreme at hindi nyo ito kailangang sundin. But this is just to show you na these things exist. So behavioral characteristics and self-reported health status among 2,029 adults consuming carnivore diet. So sila, puro lang sila animal-based foods. Halos walang pagkain. Kung titingnan mo yung mga kinakain nila dito, it's ito yung kanilang profile, and what they're eating is mostly red meat, non-pork, and then followed by pork, and then followed by poultry. So that's chicken and eggs, and then seafood, seafood na fish, seafood na non-fish, organ meats, and processed meats. Oh, nasa dairy, eggs and dairy. So they also consume a little, and halos wala silang kinakaing mga vegetables and mga other nuts and seeds and beans, wala rin. Sugar, definitely no, no. And nakita nyo na their health status, actually, a lot of them improved. So marami sa kanila nag-report, although this is self-reported, so wala siyang direct na assessment from before and after and mga laboratories, but this is self-reported, and I believe as a clinician, tinuro sa amin na don't just rely on laboratories. Huwag mong i-rely lahat-lahat sa laboratory values, because the most important part when you treat a patient is yung nararamdaman nila, and how they feel is actually even more important than others na nagkaroon ng mga improvement. Like perfect example I think dyan is yung bumaba yung LDL, sobrang happy, but after a month cardiac arrest pa rin, because we are actually not treating the patient, we are just treating the laboratory values. At yung total cholesterol and LDL, they are not the only gauge of or reason kung bakit nagkakaroon ng cardiovascular disease, ng heart attack, ng stroke, dahil yung pinaka-culprit niyan is the inflammation. So, tingnan nyo yung mga kondisyon nila, obesity, merong underweight, lipid abnormalities. Sa kanila, marami ang nag-improve at nag-resolve. Merong kakaunti, nagsabi na it's worse, it's unchanged. But this is also where the variability and reasons why. Eto, this is just a what we call a qualitative na approach, hindi siya yung specific na quantifiable. So it needs some improvement, but I think we are already on the right track na nagko-consider na, nakikita na endocrine problems, gastrointestinal, autoimmune problems, musculoskeletal, cognitive, psychiatric, respiratory, sobrang dami ang nag-improve. Mas kakaunti lang, kahit hima, onco, cancer, related sa mata, related sa skin, those are improved. So, yung iba nga, yung may insulin, they already discontinued. Merong iba na yung insulin nila na dependent ay wala na talaga yung diabetes. Yung insulin dito, I think there are those that are na kung na-minimize, na-decrease because maybe they are on type 1 diabetes. So this is a long journal na pwede nyong i-look. Maybe we can look it up on another day. But this is just to show you na this is not new. This is a new, rather. This is a new na article. It was published only in November 2, 2021. However, the science behind low-carb nutrition, hindi po ito bago. This is actually a norm for us humans based on evolution. So I will just share this with you kung ano ba yung carnivore connection sa ating insulin resistance, because for the longest time, alam natin ng insulin resistance, marami siyang connection sa ating pagkakaroon ng diabetes, sa ating pagkakaroon ng metabolic syndrome, ng fatty liver. Pero noong unang panahon, yung insulin resistance pala ay nakakatulong para sa atin. Minemaintain niya yung ating normal blood glucose in times na kakaunti lang yung ating pagkain. Just like during the ice ages, yung na ice ages. So, noong mga panahon nito, which dominated our human evolution. During this time, high protein, low carb po yung pinagkakakain natin. However, nung natapos na yung Ice Age, nagkaroon na ng agriculture at unti-unti nang tumaas yung ating carbohydrate intake. Although, nung unang panahon na yon, yung mga kinakain nating carbs, kahit pa carbs sila, but they are of low glycemic index. Halos wala silang masyadong impact sa insulin. However, dahil nga sa Industrial Revolution, nag-iba na yung ating carbohydrate na kinakain at yun na yung mga kinakain natin ngayon. The well-milled rice, well-milled corn, at their byproducts, yung mga flour, yung mga tinapay, yung nasa ating pansit at sa ating mga starches. These became an increase, this lead to an increase 2 to 3 times fold of insulin 2 to 3 times increase as compared sa hindi well-milled. So, ganun ka-importante yon. And that is why yung combination nito together with pagkain ng mga fast foods, takeaway foods, is the culprit of our modern day diseases. So, the modern day diseases is related to modern day food and hindi related sa ating pagkain nung unang panahon. So modern day food would include your well-milled rice, your well-milled corn, your well-milled flour na ginagamit sa mga tinapay, ginagamit sa mga pansit and other goods. And sila yung totoong number one cause why we are actually having all of this insulin resistance. At yung pagkain ng pork, yung pagkain ng manok, yung pagkain ng itlog, yung pagkain ng karne. We've been eating this before, way before, way before Ice Age pa. Kumakain na tayo nito and this allowed us to survive times of fasting. That is why when we eat this way, kayang-kaya nating mag-fasting ng 1 day, 2 days if we are eating this way because it's our natural food para sa ating katawan. And sobrang parang nakakatawa in a way how the general public is labeling this ancient food kasi pang matagal na to eh. Yung mga pagkain na ito, yung pagkain ng karne, yung pagkain ng meat, pagkain ng itlog, pagkain ng isda. We've been doing this for millions of years. Hindi lang centuries, but millions of years. And yung pagkain natin ito is natural for us. And it's been eaten nang wala pang modern day diseases. So why will you blame an ancient food sa isang sakit na ngayon pa lang, modern day disease pa lang? So maybe what we should be afraid of is eating the modern day foods. And based on that, as alam nyo na ngayon that grains, including rice, including corn, including flour, wheat products are all modern day foods that are linked to modern day diseases, especially if you are consuming them together with other processed foods, vegetable oil. What makes fast foods bad is actually the vegetable oils that they are using and also the flour, yung mga coating nila sa kanilang mga pagkain, and also yung mga buns na ginagamit nila and the soft drinks of course, and the french fries na ginagawa pang bundle na mura, very accessible, masarap pa. That's why it's also addicting. So that's another topic for another time. So anong diet ang puro ulam lamang? You can label it as carnivore. You can label it as low carb. You can label it as animal-based. And it doesn't mean na hindi na kayo kakain ng gulay. Ang pagkain ng gulay is optional. If you feel you love vegetables so much and you are doing well with vegetables, that is okay. Pagpatuloy nyo lang yan. But I hope hindi puro gulay lamang because personally, I have a lot of patients na nagugulay lamang for the longest time and they have problems with their thyroid, they have problems with their endocrine system, they have problems in their hormones, and it's reflecting as allergies, as autoimmune diseases, as bowel problems, problema sa tiyan, problema parating sumasakit yung tiyan, nag-alternate yung diarrhea and constipation and all those. But when we started doing this, we never felt better. Yung aming skin, it improved. Yung eyesight, nag-improve. Yung thinking also improved. And of course, yung weight, we no longer consider weight as the gauge for improvement because your weight can fluctuate pero yung inflammation sa katawan, yung mga allergies, yung aches and pains, nawawala. So, if you are not yet open to eating more of the ulam, then maybe you can just start observing yourself. Baka kayo mismo makaka-discover kung ano yung pinaka the best way of eating for you. But right now, it's already 2 o'clock. Sobrang daldal, no? Kakain na muna ako because actually, kumain ako kanina a little bago pa tayo nagsimula. Kasi sobrang nakakatakam. And yes, mas matatakam ka kapag nakakita ka ng ulam as compared sa nakakita ka ng kanin lamang because it is more natural for us to really enjoy meat, to enjoy ulam because these foods are our natural foods. So yun lamang po for now. Maraming salamat everybody. And of course, if you wish to know more, meron tayong masterclass for low carb and fasting masterclass para mas maintindihan ninyo the whole concept of doing low carb, the health benefits of doing low carb, and how to do it safely, especially kung meron kayong mga concerns on your health because we don't want you to do it haphazardly ng walang tamang preparation. And good news also to everyone who will enroll this coming February, we will give you a free Happy Healthy Planner wherein mas magiging madali yung pag-track ninyo ng inyong progress. And also, we hope that it can also help you the way it helped us into planning our lives into becoming happy and healthy this year and the years that will follow. Maraming salamat po, everyone. Always remember to stay low carb so that we all stay safe. Have a good day.